pretty classic Rebekah.
All right, everyone has to just kind of... Rebekah, you're late.
Is she here yet?
No. We're just going to go on without her then.
And it even has her name in the damn title.
I know.
Can we change the title of this real quick?
we need the bell, the shame bell. Shame. Shame.
Well, I'm sure you've got some sound effects over there somewhere you could use.
Well, that's okay. When she shows up, we'll let her do her thing. But until then, welcome everybody to another episode of Spilling Ink. You know us as the talk show that goes behind the book to meet the authors and professionals in the publishing industry. And we actually have the boss here today. So hello, Joe. How are we doing?
Hello. Good. How's everybody?
I think we're doing okay. Katie's looking great as always tonight. I am still alive. Look at that. And I'm wearing my coronavirus survivor shirt. And then, it's funny as I bought this, it came in, I posed for a picture with it. And then the next morning I was in the ER getting x-rays again. And my wife was like, you jinxed it with that frickin' shirt.
Yeah, you never wear the shirt of the band. The band will break up.
That's right? Exactly right. That's exactly right. But we're here. We're missing one guest, but it's not somebody of much consequence. So it's okay. It's all right. Oh, thanks, Regine. I feel like is that a compliment to me or her? I think it's a compliment either way.
Anyway.
Well, while we're waiting for Rebekah, do we have some promo stuff we're supposed to play?
Oh, wait. I think we have something from our sponsor. Who is that sponsor again?
I don't know.
Who that sponsor is?
Some dirtbag. I don't know.
Hello, everybody. I am Joe Compton, and welcome to our channel, Go Indie Now. This is the place that celebrates indie artists and indie art. And we do so by producing several shows that either air on daily, weekly, monthly, or seasonal scheduling. And within those shows, we aim to educate and entertain you. If you're an indie artist who's trying to figure out how to do this, this is the place you need to be. If you're an indie artist who's looking to promote and doesn't have any avenues and is tired of the grind, this is the place to be. Because remember, it's always time to go indie now. What a blowhard. What a blowhard.
I know. He's something, isn't he?
Wow.
Oh, there's the little cutie. How are you doing? She's so sweet. Aw. I don't know if she's frozen or this is just her. Oh, okay. Well then, we'll move on.
It's kind of scary.
Yesterday was Friday the 13th. Today is not supposed to be a bad luck day.
That's true. Well, it's funny is 20 minutes ago, Heather asked me if I was supposed to be down here on the show with you guys. I was like, I thought it was Thursday. So, all right then.
You're getting a little taste of retirement.
I'll tell you, it's no joke for anyone else who's been quarantined to the house. It's weird. The days don't feel right. You don't know what day it is, and now all my kids are quarantined too, so I don't have school to tell me what day it is. And yeah,
it's cool to see you though, brother. It's nice that you're here. I really appreciate that.
It's good to be back, and I popped in just for like 5 minutes. I think it was a week or two ago. And, the whole reason I haven't been here, guys, is that I have had COVID and I'm recovering now. I'm doing fine, but, it's been difficult for me to keep a conversation for long because I run out of breath quickly. So I'm finally at a point where I feel like I can actually talk and not just turn into a wheezing asthmatic mess. But it's really good to be back with people other than my family. Even though I adore my family, it's nice to have other people as well.
Well, we want to make sure you don't overdo it. So if you start feeling bad,
No, I'll just
let
sit
us
here.
know.
I'll just say, well, and clearly I'm vaping again, so clearly it's not that bad anymore. Yeah. Well, it was about a week where I couldn't, and that's when I knew. I was like, oh yeah, this is serious. I can't do my bad habit anymore.
Did you feel like it was helping you to maybe quit, or did you just miss it?
You know, I don't know. Well, it's an addiction thing for sure, and for people who, oh, that's freaky, and for anyone who has experienced some kind of addiction, you understand what that pull is like. So, there's definitely the pull, but when you're feeling that miserable already, you're not thinking about it as much. It's more like, okay, am I going to die on the couch here today watching Jurassic World for the 2000th time? I don't really know. Could be. Hey, Rebekah's here. How you doing, honey?
Sorry about that, guys. Like, I'm sitting here trying to log in, and all I got was a spinning. I'm like, why? Like, I've had full internet all day. It's like,
Murphy's
you're supposed to be online? No, I don't think so.
Well, Rebekah, it's really good to see you. I have not talked to you in a long time. It has been a while.
Ages, dude.
Yeah, I've missed talking to you. It was, I kind of I went downhill a few months ago and shut out the world, and then it seemed like as I was trying to surface that you were going through a rough patch where you were really overwhelmed and you had a lot of stuff going on. So it's kind of like it's been this weird seesaw? No, teeter-totter. Are they the same thing?
Yes.
Seesaw and a teeter-totter? Okay, there we go. So
Seesaw.
use either one of those.
Yeah, they're the same thing.
Depends on which side of the country you're on.
Yeah, but it's good to see you again. Yeah. All right,
it's
so
good
now
seeing you.
Well,
and of course, Joe and Katie.
You don't have to
pretend
so
like long. I swear. How long has it been since we've seen you?
It's been like 12-ish hours.
Yeah,
really? Wow, was it that long?
Seems like an eternity.
Right.
Oh, to be young and have all that free time like you guys.
So I do enjoy
you guys talking about when I was just watching the circle spin.
We were talking about how rude it was that our guest with the announcement and the headline wasn't here.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
That's just her showing up fashionably late, That's the celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always fashionable. I am such a diva, y'all.
Well, since you are here, why don't you tell us about your new book?
My new book?
Yeah, my new book. It is my new book. It is the 6th book of the Mab's Doll series. There we go. The black-eyed children are converging. Jillian has seen them before, but did not understand what they were. Except for their eyes and the strange way they talk, they can pass as human children, lost and looking for help. So yeah, the black-eyed children have shown up in several of the books now. Starting from book 2 on, you get little glimpses of what they are, what they might be, what could be controlling them, and where they come from. And this one gets real dark, and the ending gets like super dark. Like, you thought book 5 with the child serial killer was dark, and then we went to book 6 where we mix in some shadows with that madness, and things got super dark.
Now, last time we talked, I asked you to find a section to read for us that isn't going to be too spoilery. Did you find one?
I did.
That way we can
Shall I go ahead? You guys ready to just sit there and listen for a bit?
Yes, do it. You have the floor.
What we lose, we don't get back. Time heals all wounds, we like to say, but it's another one of our lies. He laughed bitterly as he started following her again. A most vile lie indeed, when it is time that causes those wounds and stops them from healing. Simon started to agree with her, but was caught off guard as she continued. If humans would just give up the lie of time being so important, they could heal so many things. What? Beg your pardon? What? Simon stammered out, tripping over his words and his feet. Jillian turned to face him, reaching out a steadying arm while frowning down at his feet to see what was wrong with him. Time is the thief of human potential and is only reinforced by their insistence that it is essential and immutable. Katie, I'm going to need you to count my flubs. Thanks. If you would see it for what it is, then you would not be jailed by it so easily. And what is time? Simon felt like he was going crazy asking that question. Everyone knew what time was, didn't they? Didn't he understand what time was? Deep inside, he felt himself start to tremble, as if her answer might change everything he understood. Not just about the world, but about himself and his relation to it. Jillian opened her mouth to answer, then quickly bit her lips to clamp down on her words. No. No, 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 no. Simon rounded on her angrily, as scared as he was to hear the truth, now that he knew there was no backing away from it. You are not going to not answer that question, not after making such a big deal out of it. Answer me, Jillian. Jillian opened her mouth, then swallowed hard and shook her head. Simon didn't know any better. He would think she was scared. But this was a woman who had faced down a legion of life-sucking semi-ghosts and did so with only the strength of her body. Answering a question should not scare her so much. Should it? But right now, she looked like she wanted to slap her hands over her mouth and run away, as if she had said more than she should have. She took a deep breath, and hope and dread filled Simon in equal amounts. I am AOSI, she reminded him instead. I cannot tell a lie, not even one to protect you. I believe the truth would hurt you too badly to... A heavy growl cut off her words, reaching them moments before Pitch barreled his way between them at a full run, knocking Jillian back as he spun to face her. With a back leg, he gently pushed Simon away from Jillian as he lowered his massive equine head to glare at her. The other back foot came up, shoving Simon even further away, nearly knocking him over. But the blow was low. He didn't topple, just stumbled back. Simon was so startled that he couldn't think of anything to say. It was like Pitch was hurting him away from Jillian for some reason. Protecting him from her? From Jillian? Gary had mentioned something like this, how the younger Kelpies had done the same thing to him as Pitch and Lily did to them. It was a protective maneuver, he remembered. How the Kelpies protected the young and weaker members of their pack, moving them away from danger and putting their bodies in between them. Simon took several steps back of his own volition, moving out of range of those giant legs. Once he was back far enough, Pitch grew, shrinking the space between them and urging Simon to back up even more now. The Kelpie's hair grew coarse, and his mane spread halfway down his back, shining in the light. Not because it was sleek and smooth, Simon could see, but because it was sharp. The barbed ends of each strand caught the light and shone with danger and warning as his clawed feet tore at the ground. Jillian, after stumbling back at the first impact, had not moved. Nothing except her head as it slowly tilted upwards so she could keep eye contact with her brother. She was not afraid of Pitch, despite his posturing and defensive movements. Throwing her hands up in frustration, she yelled, I know! I would not have done it, as I was just explaining to him. I am not so naive. Do not forget, I have the memories of Ardan and Troll King, as well as my mother. I know what it did to them when they started to transition. Pitch jerked his head in a harsh denial, baring his teeth and hissing. He followed that movement by snapping his teeth at her several times and flattening his ears. Simon stared at the exchange happening in front of him, watching as Jillian was chastised harshly. Pitch's movements were so much like an adult berating a child for dangerous behavior, he didn't even dare ask another question. Jillian wasn't taking it quietly, however. She raised one hand and pointed at Pitch's face, inches away from his snout. You are forgetting one important fact, dear brother. He only speaks English. Pitch paused for a moment, then looked back at Simon. Silence filled the air around them, leaving Simon blinking as the two faces stared at him. Flabbergasted at the interruption and the back and forth, seemingly vicious argument that was happening in front of him to protect him in some way he did not understand, Simon simply stared back at them for several moments until Pitch snorted at him, blasting him with hot breath and tatters of vapor. Oh, she's right. I only speak English. I know a little bit of ASL. He gulped quickly as Pitch bared his teeth at him. This was a whole new side of Pitch he had not seen before. It was like staring down his own father or mother when they were rightfully angry at him. Simon felt like a guilty schoolboy and did not know why. Right, sorry. American Sign Language. It's like a manual language for the deaf, but I'm not very fluent. He trailed off as Pitch turned away and went back to his silent discussion with his sister. Again, Pitch tore at the ground and shook his head violently. There are no words in his language to fully explain any of it, Pitch, she told him gently when his attention returned to her. There have not been any words like that spoken by humans since before the migration. All the written words were mistranslated, and I would not explain it all to him at once anyway. I was not even going to give him a new concept to think about. It would do him no good at this moment. Simon spoke up as he took a tiny step forward. I think I'm capable of deciding what is and wasn't good for— Oh! He broke off as Pitch shoved him back again, this time much less gently, knocking the air out of his lungs. Knowing how sharp the Kelpie's claws could be, as soon as he caught his balance, he looked down at his shirt where the Kelpie had pushed him. Not a single tear showed. He lifted his eyes and stared at Pitch, who glared right back at him. The message was clear. Pitch was still protecting him, whether he wanted it or not. And Simon needed that protection from what the Fae could do to him. Jillian sighed, but did not argue against Pitch's actions. In fact, she seemed to be on his side now. Imagine, if you can, that you met a man who lived 3,000 years ago. Would you give him a hand grenade? How would you explain an explosion to him? Or the handle? Or even the pin? Frustrated and confused, Simon tried to think that through. I'm not sure. I suppose I wouldn't hand him the grenade. But why would I hand him a grenade in the first place? Jillian shook her head. You are purposely not understanding the analogy. Would you take the same man to the ocean and give him a speedboat if you could, knowing he understood nothing inside the boat, or even had to navigate by the stars, and he has no concept of how deep and dangerous the ocean can be? Simon gaped at her as his mind struggled to keep up with what she was saying. But how can— That doesn't make sense. It's only time we're talking about. He trailed off as both of them gave him piercing, knowing looks. Something clicked in his head finally. Which is why Pitch is trying to protect me from it. Because knowing the truth of time is as impactful as a grenade, or as vast as an ocean? He said it as a question, hoping he was wrong, but both Faye nodded at him. It's both, Simon whispered as he backed away from Pitch. He finally understood that he needed to be protected and dropped down. It made no sense at all, except in his gut, it did. Like this was something he should know, or maybe he did know but forgot. His mind was still so full of holes. So many times he had been commanded to forget, so he did. Not all of those memories were back yet. Jillian and Pitch shared a look that seemed to speak volumes, but then their entire conversation had seemed like that to him. It was clear to Simon they had been communicating somehow, even though only she had spoken out loud. He felt as if she had said a lot more to Pitch than he had heard or seen, much the same way some close friends or family members could share information with a look that no one else understood. They did so again, before they both nodded. Pitch finally moved from between them to stand next to Jillian, both of them facing him where Simon sat on the ground, his legs splayed out in front of him. Time is a concept, Jillian told him slowly and softly. She glanced over at Pitch, who nodded slowly. And humans have misunderstood that concept for a while now. I don't understand, Simon said, shaking his head. Felt like there should have been a big reveal already. In his gut, he knew there was one. Again, the trembling inside his body started. It did not show, that he was certain of, since his head was hanging and he could see his arms and legs splayed loose in front of him. They did not shake or quiver. It was like he was shaking in his soul, not in his body. Only then did he realize he had collapsed, not just sat down. His body felt heavy, his limbs dragged at him, but moving them would take too much effort. He was completely focused on the conversation around him. I know. She stopped as Pitch put a paw in front of her. Again, they shared a look, this time much longer. It is a conditioned response. She checked with Pitch again, and he nodded at her to continue. that humans have imposed on their children for generations. Realizing he was not going to get any more of an answer than that, Simon looked up. His eyes sought Pitch, hoping he had something else to add. The shaking inside Simon got worse. He almost had it. Pitch nodded and waved his paw slightly. Somehow, Simon was shocked when Pitch didn't say anything. He knew that Kelpies didn't speak, but Pitch had managed to do so once before. Now seemed as important a time as any for him to speak again. Jillian spoke again instead. Think of what we have explained already. When you are ready, if you are ready, we can discuss it further. Simon felt like he was going to snap. His mind, his psyche, something inside him straining against what he was being told. It didn't make sense, except it did, but he didn't know how. And he felt himself being stretched thin, like he was going into shock. Jillian started to reach out for him. He saw her hand reach out as fear started to fill her eyes. She was so fast, faster than any human he'd ever seen. But Pitch was faster, and closer, and much more flexible. Faster than his eyes could trace it, Pitch's tail lashed out in a black blur, striking him in the face. The barbed points pierced the skin of his cheek, making him gasp in sudden pain. Oxygen flooded his body, and bright lights sparked in front of his eyes. Whether it was tears from the sudden pain or if he had forgotten to breathe for too long, he wasn't sure. It didn't matter to him, nor did the myriad of fine hair as it was stuck in the side of his face. Time doesn't heal all wounds, life does, he rushed to speak. No, not life. Living. Living heals wounds. That's not right either. It's something like that. As he spoke the words, he knew they were almost true, but he didn't quite understand them either. Jillian had told him he would learn new words. Was this one of the words he needed to learn? He tried to wrap his mind around the idea, but Pitch jerked his tail, painfully pulling at his face. Hey! What are you trying to do to me? Simon nearly toppled over, folding over his outstretched legs as he was pulled forward by only one too small portion of one cheek. As soon as he could, he glared up at the Kelpie who loomed over him. Save you. He could see the message on Pitch's face as the giant Kelpie glared down at him. Okay. Is that enough or should I keep going?
That was excellent.
Great job.
And you read so well, Rebekah. No flubs at all. I'm jealous.
That was awesome. What is the title of this one?
Madness and Shadows. As you can probably tell, Simon is starting to go a little bit insane. That's why there's such a big back and forth, and it gets a lot worse for him. And then later in the book,
oh, poor Simon.
I break time.
Oh no!
Ooh, like 2020 did.
Now that broke everyone.
Worse. And if you want to like really piss off and freak out your editors, break time so that you have to write in like past perfect future tense.
Well, I know how bad your editors freak out when you just try to skip ahead a couple of years in grade school. They don't like that.
Yeah. Well.
Hey, so I do have a question for you. What can a Kelpie turn into anything, or can they only turn into one thing?
Kelpies, for the most part, can turn into any four-limbed animal. It all depends on their own personal strength, because it takes a lot of energy to shift a body that much. That's why, Pitch has an addiction to shape shifting. He's constantly moving parts of his body, which is why he's also constantly eating.
I must have that same thing. That's why I'm constantly eating.
Yeah, you shapeshift a lot too?
What's your favorite thing to turn into, Jay?
Human.
Oh, that's boring.
I thought it was going to be a Kelpie. That would have been fun.
Well, wouldn't I already be a Kelpie if not necessarily?
Kelpies aren't the only shapeshifters.
I could be like one of those people from Deep Space Nine that could change into anything. What were they called?
Oh, I can't remember them.
Well,
yeah, I know. Odo was one of them, and I can't remember the name of his species.
Come on, Chad, help us out.
That was a long
Changeling.
time ago.
Yeah, he was a changeling.
Okay. No, that was a great reading, Rebekah. Thank you for doing that.
I have legs,
So, all right,
Yay,
since
glad
we
everyone
asked
liked
Jay
it.
the question, let's ask Joe the question. If you could change into anything else, what would you change into?
That's a great question. I don't have an answer, to be honest. I don't know. I've always had a fondness. I don't know what it is, but I've always had a fondness for jaguars. They're beautiful.
That's a
I
good
don't
one.
know that I would want to be one. They're kind of ravenous, but
But if you could just change into it at will, that would be fun.
Oh, I don't know. It would be interesting. I'm sure in some, methodology or past life, I was something that wasn't human. But it's just like.
Well, and that question makes me think of something. I actually wrote a little list here, and my list is mostly.
Anita's got it right.
The obvious answer is dragon. Yes,
Obvious.
Yes.
Dragon. Why didn't it be a
like
dragon?
Yeah, if you can be a dragon, be a dragon for sure. But I have a list here that I just jotted
I don't
down.
know. I
and
think
it's
maybe I want to
mostly
change it to Betty White, then I'd be immortal and cool.
that's true. Or Keith Richards, who is also immortal.
Everyone needs to knock on wood now that she said that, because this is 2020.
This desk is imitation wood, but I mean, I did what I could. So the changing into something else idea. One of the books that I read during quarantine, because I've been reading a lot, is called The Humans by Matt Haig. If you have not read The Humans, it's a short book. It's like a speculative fiction. I don't know how to describe this book. It's not horror. It's not fantasy. It's kind of dark and funny, but also beautiful at the same time. But The Humans, Matt Haig, absolutely 100% recommend you just read it right now. I mean, it is such a fascinating book, and now that I've read it, I cannot believe that I haven't read more of this author, because his command of the language is just phenomenal. But there's a character in that who changes into something that he's not, and that's why it made me think of that. So, but I think
who's going to play him in the movie, right?
Who?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
No way.
Cumberbatch.
Really?
Batch, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, you could bun, whatever.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Cumberband.
That's a pretty decent match too, I think, for that character.
Cucumber.
That man's got a great voice.
Yeah, he does. Super sexy voice.
He can already turn into anything, so may as well.
Yeah,
he's already been a dragon.
Yeah. He did great in The Imitation Game too.
That was a good one.
I had no idea what that movie was going to be about until I watched it. I was like, holy crap.
Oh,
I have to say too, of all the Marvel Universe movies, Doctor Strange is that one that creeps up on you. That was so good that it was the one that I had cast aside as I don't really care about this character. I don't really want to watch this movie. Yeah. And then I watched it and I was like, how the hell did I miss this? This is really good. This was a really good film.
Yeah, I was super impressed, and I kind of was of the same feeling when it came out. I was like, it's not really high on my list of things I want to watch, but yeah, I watched it over and over because I was like, wow, they just did a damn good job with it.
See, and I was the opposite. I will watch some movies just for the actor in them. And I really, really liked Benedict Cumberbatch in pretty much everything I've seen. So I was drawn to it just for that.
Yeah. And he played Sherlock Holmes too, right?
Yes, he did. I love his Sherlock. I really enjoy him and Martin Freeman. They play off each other so well.
Martin Freeman of The Hobbit fame, if you guys don't know.
He was also in Hitchhiker's Guide. And there's a show, and I can't remember the name of it, and I think it's kind of it's more recent about parenthood, and he plays just the stressed out dad so well.
All right.
I'm trying to think of.
Is it a what?
Was it a British show?
It is, and I'll have to look up the name later. But he plays the stressed out dad, and it's just hilarious watching him act the way that we all want to act, in reaction to everything that goes wrong.
Well, have you guys been? I know everybody's been watching a lot of television, but have you guys been reading at all lately?
Editing. So not really reading for pleasure, but yes, reading lots of books.
Me? No, I never read all the time. I don't know what you're talking about.
I have to say, though, the trend lately, as far as the clients I've been getting, since the quarantine started, everybody has become a self-help guru. There has been more nonfiction crossing my desk than ever before.
No.
I'm reading Moth and Clay, which is the first book in that series that Rebekah so graced us with. So that's where I'm at, and I keep starting and stopping because I'm finding interesting things that I don't know about. So when I do that, I end up going in down a rabbit hole and looking things up and researching, and so I've been constantly doing that with this book. So I'm never going to finish it. It'll be 2022 before it gets done. So
sometimes that's just as much fun as reading the book.
I've decided a lot of my readers run into that.
Go ahead, Rebekah.
So a lot of my readers are running into that. So I've decided I'm going to start a TikTok series where I start explaining the different fae, what they are, who they are, and even reading some of the like old stories. Like I thought everyone read these when they were like 5. No, I mean, so
that sounds like such an
hopefully
awesome idea.
Follow along with the TikTok and
TikTok is
follow along with the TikTok. Hopefully some things will get explained to you. I do now, by the way, I do have a glossary of my critters in the beginning of the books. So if you re-download Moss and Clay, it'll have the glossary in there now. Also, if you want to join me later, I decided that after spilling ink tonight, I'm going to hop to my Facebook group and do a live read from Moss and Clay.
Awesome.
Ooh.
Well, and the glossary is a great idea. That was one thing that I really loved when I used to read Piers Anthony when I was very young, and he always had a glossary because there's so much stuff, and that was so helpful because you'd forget what the hell he was talking about, and you could just go quick read it and get back to the story. I
always thought that was cool that he was the only one back in that day when doing that.
I don't remember anybody else doing it.
Tolkien wrote a book about that was a glossary, but it was about his series. It was like a textbook kind of thing, but I never ever had anybody other than Piers Anthony. That's what I always remember fondly about his books, was that you could flip to the back and if you had a question, he would answer it there. So
and he caught some heat from the really serious science fiction and fantasy authors, but he made a lot of really entertaining stuff, and kind of like I was talking about.
Get over yourselves.
Yeah, right. And I was talking about before the show, Clive Cussler. I just read his last publication, and they aren't books that are going to make you think, but they're really, really entertaining, fun action books. And you know what? If that's what's making somebody happy, screw it. You don't have to aspire to anything else than making somebody happy.
Yeah.
I've read stuff that took me almost a year to read one book because you had to slog through it and really think through it, and that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it, but sometimes I don't want to do that, right?
And let me be clear. Moss and Clay is brilliant. It is written brilliantly. It is a fantastically, beautifully written book, and it is amazing. And the characters are rich and exciting, and I really, really love it.
He's sucking up to the boss.
Yeah, totally.
Wait, isn't he the boss?
He's also one of her underlings because she publishes him. So
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that because of that. I'm being very, very honest about that.
But Jay, didn't you have a question while Rebekah was reading?
Oh yeah. I was wondering. You said something about
Like,
AOSI.
what's the AOSI?
Yeah.
The AOSI are the leaders of the She, who are the leaders of the Fae. The She are the elven-looking folk, the humanoid-looking peoples. And the AOSI in my book are the direct descendants from Danu and Sky. That's actually who created the Fae. And Sky is, of course, like literally the sky, as Danu is literally the earth. So in mine, there were 4 AOSI, but things start changing in this book.
Okay.
Because I mean, if you're gonna break time, you may as well break the rest of reality too, right? I mean,
might as well. I think that maybe pass that on to the other editors, like you said, about a certain other book that maybe we're following this young girl's life and doesn't have to be perfectly.
Gee, what could you be talking about there, Jay?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. I think that eventually we'll have to get back to that book, Rebekah, because I'm excited for people to read it. I'm actually going to be propositioning Katie to beta read for us sometime
dirty.
when she's
have to go out. Oh,
because we need some more good creative minds to take a look at it. I think Jane took a look at it and gave us some good critiques.
She's a good beta. She's a very good beta.
Yeah, but she's also evil, so we need someone who's neutral at least.
I like that you think I'm neutral.
So
chaotic neutral, maybe.
Have you seen her with a red pen in her hand?
I've seen Jane with a red pen in her hand, not Katie. So Joe's reading Moss and Clay. Rebekah's reading
scary no matter what color pen.
Rebekah's reading Pretty Little Werewolf.
Look, I'll use pink if that makes you feel better.
Katie, you're reading for work. Have you had any cool work reads?
I have. Most of it is nonfiction, but some of that nonfiction is really interesting. And one of the books, without getting too far into to details on it, has to do with the psychology of motivation and how to use certain principles to get people to do the things you want them to do without it feeling like coercion.
So manipulation. I like that.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, you know what that reminds me of? I just talked to my therapist a couple days ago, and I'll tell you what, this is the first time I've had a therapist that I think was good for me and that we had a good connection, and it is slowly actually starting to change my life, and it's a pretty amazing thing. And what we were talking about is not necessarily motivation, but finding joy in what you're doing and being able to say that it's okay to keep doing something just because you enjoy it, not because it brings you some kind of return. And that's something that I really, really struggle with. That's not how I was raised. That's not how most of society sees things. So, it's been a struggle, like, especially with writing, I really, I don't make any money off books. So I'd kind of gotten to a point in my life this year where I'm like, you know what, I'm working on this book with Rebekah, and that just might be it. Maybe this just isn't the right thing to do. It's not bringing anything to our table at all. And so I talked to the therapist about that, and she was like, but if you enjoy doing it, that's enough right there. Because really, that's the whole point of everything, is just to try to find joy in it. And it's a tough thing to wrap your head around sometimes.
Preach, honey, preach.
Yeah, so I'm trying to reshape the way I perceive things and the expectations I have for myself, and it is very difficult because I am such a self-conscious person, and like many writers, we doubt ourselves, especially if we're not receiving praise. But that's something I'm working on, and I think and it's not like Katie was talking about, like, manipulating people and becoming a psychopath and killing them, but I still think it's almost as cool. So good. But good on you, Katie. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with this.
I want to touch on just something you said right there about,
Almost as cool.
about sometimes just hearing that somebody enjoys your work, how much motivating that can be, and reinforcing that what you're doing is good. I was on Twitter right before we started and just scrolling through, as you do, and somebody had posted just a tweet out to the writing community about, should I tell this author that I love their work? And they were kind of nervous about reaching out to tell the author that. And so I, of course, had to reply. I was like, yes, please. If you have an artist, an author, a musician, anybody who's a creator and you appreciate their work, for the love of God, please tell them, because that may keep them motivated to work,
we need it.
to avoid scorpion petting as their next thing to do.
Yeah, we desperately need it. And even authors that are making money, or that you see their websites or them on Facebook, and they seem like they're very confident and they have 20 or 30 or 40 books out there. Believe us, we still need it. We need to know that you enjoy what we're doing, because that helps us enjoy what we're doing. So please write us.
It validates it, because even if you're not making monetary value off your book, because royalties are not as big as people think they are, whether you're indie or traditional, you have to sell a shit ton of books to earn enough to pay the power bill, let alone, any other bill. So yeah, that validation of, hey, I loved your book, that sometimes is what we need. That's enough.
Well, I have a friend in Canada, Amanda, who's a best-selling author now, and her book is phenomenal. Scorpion petting was really good. But she told me, she was like, I've been broke for a year. I haven't seen a royalty check. It takes so long for anything to come in. So she supplements her income by going around in public speaking, and that doesn't make a ton of money either until you're very well established. But yeah, even those authors that look like they're killing it, a lot of times we're just trying to do a job and get by the next month.
There's a well-known author in Canada, actually, Susie Vidori, who is a #1 best-selling author in YA fiction. She's pretty much a guru of YA fiction in many respects, especially in Canada. And she's told me on numerous occasions, I've interviewed her countless times and talked to her countless times, and she's told me very much so. She reinvented herself. If not by writing the books. The writing the books is like her leisure. She goes to schools and talks at schools and talks about the around her books, and she makes it around her books. And now she's into book mentoring, and she mentors young authors into massaging them into the process and how to get to point A to point B, and that's how she supplements her life. And she hasn't had to work in 10 years because of that. So.
And she's great. I don't read YA. It's not something I typically enjoy, but I interviewed her for the Raven, and I really like the way she writes. And then listening to her is
her books are
fantastic.
So good. Her books are so good.
And another great Canadian speaker, who we all know, I'm sure, is Miranda O. And she's another one where you read her books, and her books are very enjoyable. They're very funny, but it's talking to Miranda or seeing her speak in front of people and interact with people that will just blow you away.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's, and really that's, I think, what it takes.
Chin up
is, hell yeah. She is just phenomenal. She really is. She came here to Holland, 2 years ago now. And she isn't well known here. So we didn't have a big crowd for her show. And I just thought it was such a shame, because she is such an incredible dynamic speaker. She just mesmerizes you. I could just listen to her all day. But that's the other thing about being an author, is we really have to wear so many different hats, and it can be exhausting. And if you look at me, I am exhausted. I'm so tired, because when there isn't a lot of reward, it's hard to keep doing it. But So, I'm kind of falling back into what are the things that I do enjoy doing? I enjoy doing this show with Katie as often as I can, and talking to other authors, or doing my other podcast. And I do enjoy engaging with people, but I don't think that I love trying to sell people my books. I don't think that that's something that brings me any joy. It really doesn't. I like it when people read the stories, but I'd almost rather they just have them and not have to worry about the other stuff, not have to worry about the sales.
I'm with you on that. That's me too. I just don't sell myself very often because it's just whatever.
But we can sell other people like crazy, can't we?
Yeah, but
it's easier to sell someone else than to sell yourself, I think.
It feels dirty, not in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does.
Although that's kind of why I started doing the readings every Sunday is, I'm giving away my book for free essentially by doing that. But I get so much enjoyment when I do the reading and there's people in the comments section, counting the amount of times I trip over my words, or, cheering when you get to a certain section of the book, or like for me, when I know a section is coming up and I can't wait to see the reaction. I love doing that. And that's what keeps me coming back every week.
Well,
I've been doing a show every once in a while on Twitch on Friday nights, because I've been going live on Friday night, and it's me ranting for an hour. And I never
great shows.
I never thought in a million years that would be interesting to anybody, but it's been well received, and it's just like, okay, well, I have no problem. I've got a lot of things to rant about. I'm happy to spend an hour yelling, or not yelling, but I can get pretty animated sometimes, but
Well, and it's kind of like that. I don't know if you watch
You've
Black
yelled a
Mirror
few
at all.
times.
Do you ever watch Black Mirror, Joe?
I've seen it, yes.
Okay. Yeah, there was that one episode where the guy holds the glass to his throat and rants, and that's his show. So you need a piece of glass, Joe. That's what you need.
Well, then it would look like I'm copying that,
It's a little derivative. But speaking of lifting other people up, and that's actually Josh Pantalleresco's big thing too, is lifting other people up, and I think that's a wonderful thing. I do want to tell you about a couple of new to me authors that I read, if you don't mind. One I mentioned about a month back when I was still on regularly. It was The Butterfly Garden by Dot Atchison. And it's if you have Amazon Prime, it was a free Prime book, and that's how I picked it up. And that was really good, very dark, very triggering if you have any history with or sensitivity to sexual assault. So please be mindful of that. But it was a really good read. And then another Prime reading book that I just picked up because it had a cool cover is called The Drowned Girls, by a Canadian author, Loreth Ann White. And apparently she's very popular in Canada, though I had never heard of her. And I read that book, and then I ended up buying the subsequent 2 books in the series because it was so good. And Rebekah, I think you especially would like The Drowned Girls. It's kind of has a murder mystery thriller kind of vibe, but with pretty graphic violence and graphic sex. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of the perfect combination here. It's like a legit book, but it's dirty. so those were some others that I read during quarantine now. But that were really good, and I hadn't read the authors.
That's getting
before,
moved up on my TBR now.
Yeah, it was pretty darn good. Yeah, that mistress is dirty. She's red and dirty all the time. Yeah, well, I'll tell you.
I love that graphic so much. FYI, Katie made that graphic.
I think you could recommend Winnie the Pooh books to Rebekah, and she would find them dirty.
She has a spot. You know what's weird? When I was in grade school,
you guys don't think that Winnie the Pooh books are dirty? I mean,
wow, you opened that door.
Damn it, Joe! Damn it!
How many times? How many times does Rabbit end up playing with Pooh's butt? I mean, have you seen what Rue does when they're together?
I'll tell you what, Rebekah. I've had in my fingers in more dogs' assholes than I care to remember, and none of it. It was dirty, but none of it was dirty that way.
Phrases
None
I
of it
didn't
was.
expect to hear on our show.
None of it was a good dirty. Okay. But the only books of yours, Rebekah, that I've read are the really naughty books. And I have to tell
Not
you,
the
they
clean
were
dirty, just the dirty.
dirty. They were some of the best. They were amazing. I felt like I was missing out on something my whole life. I mean, Pornhub's got nothing on Rebekah Jonesy.
There is the best advertisement I think you could have ever come up with. I mean, if you're going for a one-liner, there it is.
Pornhub's got nothing
I'm
on me.
quoting that. I'm quoting that from now on.
We're gonna have to put that on her graphic.
And I've got nothing on Pornhub either, I promise.
What's funny is I have a friend who does that does a lot of online sex work, and they actually sent me a message and said, "You're my only friend I can actually ask to look at something and review it for me." And it was adult content, and they just wanted to know if I thought it was done well. But it's such a weird line, but like, we're friends on this side of things. I've never seen this side of things, but
Can you evaluate
okay.
the camera angles and the editing cuts for me? Because nobody
Or
else.
the inside of those things.
That's basically what it was.
How do you do that and keep a straight face? I mean, how do you, legit review something? Quality content, timing, angles, and just not just be cheesy grinning ear to ear.
Practice.
Well, I'll tell you what, and some of these people, in being a camera person myself, filming is difficult. Filming, lighting, everything is difficult. And to do that all yourself while also doing stuff to yourself, that's no mean feat. So
I bet you there's a website where like notes on those videos are available. Like at 3:47, the penis kind of goes out of focus, right?
Right. We need to shift the frame this way. Reverse Ken Burns on this section.
I can't even take a selfie. I don't even want to think about how complicated that would get.
This scene requires a reach around at some point, please.
Now, what tropes would go for this film? Where's the fucking wizard?
Look, the dialogue is just not convincing, all right?
It's a little too shiny there.
I can see the boob mic in her asshole. Was that by design?
Oh my god.
We're going to put an adult content warning on this episode, guys.
Well, I'm just saying, it's hard work. They work hard, so they deserve their money.
I'm on here. Why isn't there already a warning?
Good point.
Regine has a really good point. Pooh walks around with no pants on all the time.
Right? Like I said, I mean...
Wasn't that a Deadpool thing, too? Wasn't that a joke in Deadpool, too?
Probably.
So does Roo. So does Kanga. Rabbit doesn't even wear any clothes, the pervert. And he's hopping around and bouncing.
Well, you know how rabbits are. He's got to be ready to reproduce at any time.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah. And doesn't Yogi Bear only walk around with a vest on? He doesn't have a shirt on.
And I mean, do any of us really believe that Tigger is bouncing around on his tail? I mean,
obviously not. Yeah.
So maybe this will be the last time I'm on Spilling Ink, but
I figured we'd get a pass.
You guys.
Since both of the bosses are here, I figured we'd get a pass on whatever happened.
Well, I do want to say real quick about TikTok.
If this ends up getting like, sorry, go ahead.
Well, as long as you don't take your clothes off, we're good. I think it's not going to get blocked. But no, I was going to say that because you guys had mentioned TikTok a couple times earlier as a new platform for reaching people, and it is wildly popular, of course. I love it for animal videos, but I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts. I love true crime anything, and there have actually been a few times where people are actually using TikTok to help resolve cases, to help track down leads, to talk about cases that are still ongoing, cold cases, and there's actually been a couple of instances of success with that. So, if you're interested in true crime at all, it seems like a bizarre thing to do, but search in TikTok for true crime. There's actually some interesting stuff on there. Yeah. So anyhow, that was my TikTok thing.
All right. That is kind of cool, though. And I could see that being the plot of a good book, too.
Yeah. But yeah, otherwise, funny animal videos. Holy crap. I mean, there's no place better. There really isn't.
Yeah, no, we watch funny animal videos here, too. My youngest is obsessed with them.
Have you guys watched the guy who does everything aggressively?
Yes.
Yep. Oh, my God. That dude is freaking hilarious.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I just wonder.
The affirmations on there are fantastic. I like.
So my TikTok is taken up by Joshua Robertson.
Yeah, I hear that guy's pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard he's got a super sexy voice, like Benedict Cumberbuns.
He really does, but like he takes it up to another level. There is one TikTok he does, and it's a voiceover from Lucifer, from the show Lucifer.
Ooh.
He also does live readings and pulls cards.
Cool.
That's fun. Although if you get some bad news.
There is all kinds of person on TikTok. It's bearded basilarius. I don't know. Look for bearded basil, and then there's some more words more letters after that.
We'll find it and we'll put it in the show notes. So for anybody who's watching this later, after the show's done recording, I'll make sure that link gets into the notes.
Joe, have you been doing a lot on TikTok?
Yeah, I suppose I could just pull up TikTok right now.
I've been doing a fair amount. I mean, I've just been playing with it right now. I'm just kind of getting my feet under me with it. But I've done 6 videos. So, and right now I have 69 likes. So I'm not sure if I want to go beyond that.
Nice. Yeah, you want to stop right there forever. No, I have a TikTok.
Send me the link, Rebekah.
I've got a TikTok as well, and I've only done a handful of videos, and they're all silly animal videos. And then I kind of got bored recording them, and I was like, I'm just going to watch other people's because it's so much less work. Yeah, because it's hard to get likes if you're not in the right spots. I'm like, I'm just going to enjoy it.
See, that plays into the thing we've talked about before, where for authors, creators, whoever, there's so many social media channels out there. Where do you put your time? Because to cultivate them, you have to spend time on them. And there's how many out there? Yeah. There's just not enough hours in the day to do all of them.
Yeah. I pretty much spend all of my time now. And of course, I've been quarantined, but all of my time is spent on the couch reading all day or watching documentaries. That's really all I've been doing for the last 3 weeks or so.
That sounds awesome.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's great, but after a while you do get sick of the couch, so I mean, I kind of miss doing things, but
that's why you move to the chair or the back porch.
Yeah. But no, so it's still been freeing. I told Katie and Joe that I've been slowly inching my way back onto social media just to see what my friends are doing. But it's so nice to be not on it all the time and not have all of the information rushing at you constantly. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, for God's sake, start reading again. Oh man, it's nice. It slows everything down. It's good.
And if you're looking for some good, not full length documentary, but like fact quick videos, that's been another one of my rabbit hole things.
For sure.
Check out Mental Floss on YouTube.
Oh yeah, good stuff on there.
I love their list shows.
I also enjoy Big Think which
Oh
is
yeah, that's a good one.
where they have experts come on and they answer a question and they talk about, and it's usually a very intellectual based question or a spiritual question, and those are always very interesting.
Well, another thing you can.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, and once you're playing one of those videos, like we spent a whole day watching videos on the 1918 flu pandemic because we played one video and it just kept playing more little short documentaries. And we're like, oh, this is awesome. And so you can really just kind of set it and do whatever you're doing and have that on in the background. And it's pretty enjoyable.
Regine was going to say the same one. I was SciShow. SciShow's good, and the guy who does SciShow it's Hank Green, I think. His brother John Green is the one who does Crash Course and Mental Floss. So together, those brothers have all kinds of fact and quick educational shows, and they're really, really good.
Al Green's nephews?
Yeah.
I got it.
Sure, why not?
Well, I knew Joe would. Well, we're at the end of our show, guys. This was a really fun chat, and I think that these are my favorite kind of shows where we can just kind of talk with friends. And I definitely needed a show like this where it was just nice and relaxed, and Joe talking about dirty stuff the whole time, and Rebekah trying to keep us on track. But do we have a promo video for other sponsor or anything yet, Katie? Or is she still slacking on that?
Yeah, no, she's still slacking. I don't know what's going on with her.
I never said I was gonna make a video. You guys do not want to see me try to make a video. It would just be sad.
Okay, so I'll read this though,
and
for
probably
everybody.
Pornographic, and then I'd end up on Pornhub, and there we go.
This is Mistress Rebekah Dirty Jonesy. You will be entertained.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's
a little vocal fry there. That's from 3 weeks of nasal drainage. Sorry.
And don't forget, tomorrow at 1:45, I will be reading chapter 17. And only chapter 17 this week. I know I've doubled up the llast couple of weeks, but I can't double up
what happens in chapter 17.
I can't wait to read chapter 20. I want to jump ahead, but I can't. Got to read the next chapter. Got to read it in order.
All right. So is it Keist or Kist? Keist or Kist. Either way, that's a cool name. Says we should watch Benedict try to say penguins. And everyone, I have seen that video about a dozen times. It's hilarious. Just Google Benedict Cumberbatch's penguins. It's wonderful. It is pretty great. What? Wait, you never put my banner up there, Katie. Where's mine? Didn't I have one?
You were going to give me a new one.
Really?
Yeah, you said you were going to fix them, and so I took them down so we could put up the new one.
Yeah. That's right.
How about slackers?
It didn't fit. But look at this. This is funny. That's me. I'm on the right there. I'm basically just the funny, cute one. So yeah, that's what we got, guys.
All right. Well, we will be back next week with more fun.
I made a GIF for you if you want to use the GIF instead.
You mean GIF?
GIF. We've had this argument before.
The man who created it says it's GIF.
I don't care. GIF is peanut butter.
Well, he can be wrong too.
Do you say giraffe?
Yes, I do. All right. Talk to you next week.
Yardage?
Good night.